President Trump's policies and statements during the week preceding this meeting. Everyone was shocked and upset in Europe. It seemed like the United States was walking away from NATO and walking away from its commitments, and so Zelensky sort of reaped the benefit of that. So this led to the meetings over the weekend with the UK Prime Minister. Zelensky's actually riding a little stronger wave than he had going into the White House meeting.
What do you believe are the crucial components of a lasting peace deal, and how many more steps do we have before that becomes the central focus?
Good question. First of all, both sides have to ultimately agree to a deal and want peace, and that means both sides ultimately have to realize or believe that they'll be better off with an agreement than continuing to fight. Now, Ukraine knows that if they concede right now and give up, Russia will overwhelm the country. There's no indication that Mr. Putin really believes that he's losing and would do better with a peace agreement. But if he can get what he wants through a peace agreement, he probably would take that. And so when you look at how to lay this out, the way that it's worked in the past and the way it worked when I was with Richard Holbrooke in the Bosnia negotiations in 1995, is you put out the general principles of what an agreement might look like. And then you have what's called carrots and sticks for both sides, incentives and then punishment. Incentives if they agree, punishment if they don't. And it's easy to construct something like this for Ukraine. Now, negotiating it is very difficult, and you may not get it. Sometimes it may take months and even years to come to an end of this conflict. That's the problem. If you snap your fingers and say, I want an immediate peace agreement, you're not going to get it in this case, because both sides have hard dug-in positions. Ukraine can't afford to concede, and Putin doesn't really believe he's losing. At least he doesn't publicly admit that. So you're going to have a patient, diligent, hard-nosed, back and forth shuttle diplomacy based around some general principles.
And what is the strategy in coming up with that type of framework based on Russia's history? How does that incorporate into any type of framework for a deal?
Russia wants to reestablish its control over the space of the former Soviet Union. This has been Putin's objective really since he took control of the government in 1999 and 2000. And he's done it worked through a variety of means. And so as long as he continues to pursue the disestablishment of security for these East European nations that used to be so-called Soviet satellite nations like Bulgaria and Romania, and goes after the Baltic states, which were formerly independent before they were taken over by Russia at the end of World War II. As long as he pursues these objectives, it's going to be very difficult to get peace. But that is the Russian culture. It is a culture of imperialistic expansion and ethnic cleansing, or Russification of the countries that it takes over. So Ukraine's worked against this for off and on for like 300 years with only limited success. This is the most success they've ever had. Now, to establish an agreement, Marni, it seems that you have to say, on the face of it, the principles might be something like we're going to have a ceasefire in place immediately. Russia's going to be there and what it's had. It's not going to get any more. Ukraine's not going to give permanent title of the Donbass and Crimea back to Russia. And then let's get the minerals deals done, put a peace enforcement force on the ground, backstopped by the United States. Tell Russia, your benefit here is you're going to get a gradual release of sanctions. No more territorial expansion, but a gradual release of sanctions. And for Ukraine, you've got the minerals deal and some reconstruction aid and continued military assistance so that Ukraine has the continuing military ability to deter any further Russian advance.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.